to create the biggest, baddest, meanest squeeze pages that stuff your pockets with cash and that build you a monster list is to use iDirection. So let's do an experiment here. When you look at this picture, what do you see? Do you see the black text in the corner? Maybe, but it doesn't really stand out, does it? Because you got all kinds of other stuff that's going on and distracting you right now. How about now? Now do you read the text? Does it stand out? Exactly. Now you read the text because now it has a big arrow pointing to it. It grabs your attention and forces you to look at it. Arrows are awesome. They force people to look at whatever you want them to. And if you don't believe me, do an experiment. I want you to go in a big crowded area, say go down to a mall, and I just want you to point at something across the room. So just point straight at something. And I guarantee you that tons of people are going to look at whatever you're pointing at. There's no reason for it, but they're going to do it. And that's because whenever you're pointing at something, it's going to draw people's attention. Same thing if you're talking to someone and you like look to the left of them and just stare at it, they're going to like look around like, oh shoot, what's going on? Is there a big dog coming up next to me? Is that why you're staring? They're going to turn their head too. Because again, iDirection focuses people to look at whatever you want them to. Now, we use arrows just about every day for just about everything. On the road, there are tons of signs with arrows on it. This tells us which way we should go and which way we shouldn't go. When we get out of a car and we jump into an elevator, the elevator points up to go up and down to go down. Arrows are everywhere because they work. So I highly recommend using arrows on your squeeze page. So point to what you want people to do. So chances are if you have a squeeze page, then your whole goal is to get people to opt in, right? That's the whole point of the squeeze page, to get people on your list. So have a big red arrow pointing to your opt-in box. Why red? Well, red is a proven color which grabs attention and stands out. So there's a reason why stop signs are red and why red lights mean stop. Because red really stands out and they want to make sure to get your attention that you don't go. Because if it didn't get your attention, a lot of people would run red lights and there'd be a lot more accidents. So this is a squeeze page that comes up for CB Traffic Warrior, and this is Andrew X's product. Now, Andrew X is one of the top super affiliates in the game. Now, do you notice this right here? This big red thing? This is an arrow. Do you notice how it's pointing down to tell people what to do? Now, I don't recommend asking for people's name, but hey, maybe he wants to do it because he personalizes all his emails. That doesn't matter. What matters is the arrow. It's pointing to what he wants you to do. He wants you to fill this out. And check out this one. There's not a lot going on this page, but do you see how big this red arrow is? It forces you to look at this box over here. It grabs your attention and makes you look over here at the right. And here was that opt-in page again that I did that worked really well for me. Do you see this? Big red arrow pointing down. Do you see this? Red arrow pointing to the email box. If you look at this page, you're forced to look at this box. This thing grabs you by the throat and makes you look at this box whether you want to or not. So that's some red arrows in action. I do them on just about every single opt-in page because it works phenomenally for me. So if you're looking for some red arrows that you can use for your opt-in page, what you can actually do, come here to Google and just type in animated red arrow. That's a good place to start. And there's this site right down here. Let's click on this. And check it out. He's got a red arrow right here. Now, maybe if you have permission, you might be able to download that and use that one. And if you notice, one of the comments is, Frank Kern stole my arrow. That's because Frank Kern actually used this red arrow for a few of his squeeze pages. So, there you go. There's one of them. Feel free to dig around here and you could find probably tons of other great arrows that you can use. Also, another place I recommend stopping by is iStockphoto.com. So, iStockphoto.com. Let's just type in arrow and we'll see what we find. And I'm just going to do a search for the illustrations because I don't want to see the actual photos like this one. So I'm going to do illustrations and we'll see what comes up. Look at these. These are awesome arrows that you can use. There's also these ones. Or these ones right here. These look great. I like that red one in the top left, and the bottom looks really good. There's some 3D style arrows, or check these ones out. Again, this is iStockPhoto.com. You can do a search for arrow or do a search for red arrow. And then once you're here, just select the illustrations, unless you want to see actual photos or any of these other ones. But I recommend just using illustrations, and you can find some awesome sets of arrows that you can use for your squeeze page. So go ahead and get one of these sets and just plug one of those graphics in, and you're going to be styling. So point to where you want people to go. If you want them to opt in, use a big arrow pointing to the opt-in box. And you're going to notice your opt-in rate soar through the roof.